Welcome back to both Aunt Vivs and our instant reaction live stream. Please welcome our panel of experts.
Hello, 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 and thank you for joining our Snowfall instant reaction live stream. I'm Chance, and I'm joined today by Siobhan, Tanae, and Blaze. So, y'all, how y'all feeling after this? I know you were stressed last week.
I was definitely stressed
How
last
could
week.
you possibly be feeling?
I was definitely
Is it still
stressed last
stressed?
week. I feel like I'm still stressed. Like it's just going to be constant stress for the rest of the season. Like there's not going to be no let up. Um, I will say I definitely thought that this was the episode that Leon was going to die. We were close. The ending was looking a little shaky, but I definitely thought that. But no, we're back. We're safe. We're safe for another episode.
Got you. Okay, how's the rest of you guys going tonight? How you feeling tonight after the episode?
I felt like the dialogue was really poignant, like paying attention to the little things that were being said was really important. So it kept me kind of on the edge of my seat. I had the closed captions on. I was like, I gotta pay attention because you're anticipating what's gonna come next. So yeah.
Got you. Okay. Was there anything that stood out to you in the dialogue that was like, okay, maybe this is a foreshadow for next time, or maybe this is something that was leading up to?
So Veronica's mother said, and I had to write it down, matter of fact, she says this game rewards them who keeps their cool. And the whole episode, nobody is keeping their cool. So I just thought it was really interesting, that statement, and how everybody is losing it. And you can see that it's going to have long end consequences.
Copy. Got you. Okay, Blaze, how you doing?
Excellent, excellent, and that's an excellent point to name. Especially when you kind of think about this episode, was it like a setup or a chess kind of moving your pieces in position type of episode? Like it wasn't too much action, but everyone was working on their position a little bit more. And anyone that plays chess know that you got to be able to, don't fall for the traps, don't fall for the quick whatever. You got to be cool and you got to be able to watch and the whole board. And it seemed like there was a couple moves, whether it been Franklin snapping on Bull in the house, or even like going back to the house again and not realizing that someone that y'all just wrong knows everything that you do and didn't switch everything up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too much cool headedness in this episode.
Copy. Okay, so leading into what you're just saying, going to our first question. How is everyone feeling about the way that Franklin went off? Black and on mom.
Oh, I thought you meant the other. I feel like
Yeah, specifically mom. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's necessary because I feel like they have the mom and the baby mother. I always forget her name. I don't know why.
Veronica.
But yes, thank you
Right,
today.
Veronica, thank you.
I feel like they got their own plan. So her just being like, you, I think the word you're looking for is thank you. Like that's a lot of money on the line. And it's been, you prepping for this whole like elaborate scheme. And the only thing that they got was basically where they were at before. I would have snapped too. Like, where's my money? Where is my money? So, I mean, I think he was. I, I think that was justified, but he was wild on all episodes, so I'm not shocked.
This is true. Tanae?
Yeah, so I understand why, right? But then there's also this deeper piece where you are seeing this wild space of like he's supposed to be this particular like clean cut business dude, but you don't understand like business deals, all of it is chess. Like I think it does go back to what Blaze said. Like it's the reality that this episode influence that comes along with that. So I just I understood why, but to her point, like you got to understand the long game, and I think she's able to say that to him because she's a calm woman. So both the mother and like to what Siobhan said, like you realizing they playing a different game, but they're playing a different game because they understand the long game. None of them got into the game like Leon, all of them. Like when they got into the game, they didn't come in saying we're going to get this amount of money and then we're going to leave. They didn't have a long game.
Gotcha. Blaze, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, and that's probably a little bit of the product. You see how Franklin, his foot's in two worlds still. You know what I mean? He and the mom in that situation is dealing with money on a large scale, and that world and the drug game. He's like still have to do that aggression thing. It don't
Mm-hmm.
work when you can't, like, I guess you got to be able to be a chameleon in both of them. You can't like take one and the other and always think it's going to apply. And snapping on the mom like that just wasn't necessarily smart. Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it works out because, as his wife said, she was able to talk her down. But who knows what that means for the long run if she's going to stick to the natural plan and not forget this disrespect. Just like the dude in the
How do you think it's
crib
going to play out in
didn't
the
forget
long
this
run?
disrespect.
Okay. I mean, that came back.
I
That was
think
like very fast karma, I would say. But
Mm-hmm.
what were you saying, Blaze? Go
I think
ahead.
no, I was just saying in terms of the mom and whatnot. I still like. I think echoing from last episode, like I still don't distrust how the whole thing is going to work out all hunky dory. Like, oh, I got my money back. I just um,
Mm.
when it comes down to it, he is relying on this woman to get all the money back. So at some point, she's going to have control or knowledge of where all that money is and how to get it from where it is to where they want it to go. So that's a lot of
mm-hmm.
power in her hands
Mm-hmm.
for a professional con woman.
Copy. Okay, and now speaking about the money, how much do you think that Teddy has figured out about the KGB?
Oh, he figured it all out.
Yeah.
It's not a hidden piece for him. He
I don't think
watched
he.
like
Yeah,
Yeah.
What do you
I
think that was about
think
with him? I'm
I was
sorry,
gonna
you
say I
broke
think he
up. What did
figured
you
it
say,
all out.
Tanae?
Yeah.
No, I said he figured it all out, and I think he knows. I think what Teddy and Franklin both are aware of is that they're at the end of their rope in very
Mm.
different retrospects of like what that's going to look like for them. And Teddy knows that he's got to pull out because he's going to go down, and the government's going to plaster his name. He white, but they're going to plaster his name. So they
Mm-hmm.
got to have a full man, and he's going to be the full man. And so if he's smart, he'll do what his little girlfriend doctor saying and take your $70 million and bounce.
I mean,
She crazy, but
facts.
she makes a lot of sense.
right.
I'll go with the
Blaze,
pretty
you have
lady
anything
and
to
say
add?
wherever she want to go. I'm out too, but that doesn't seem like that aligns with his original mission. Like he's CIA for life and whatnot, and he still seems that he's able to salvage and fix everything because now he's staking out and watching what's going on at the end of the episode, as you see, following Oso, you know, taking pictures of the KGB dude, going to try to figure the loose ends out on that too. So he doesn't look like he's in his mind. He got any thoughts about running off.
How long do you think he's gonna wear that CIA badge?
Oh, till the wheels fall off.
Like as far
Till the
as
I
wheels
was like,
fall off.
yeah,
okay, copy.
forever.
Yeah.
I even when all that stuff was happening last season, like he's always gonna be CIA. Whether they acknowledge it or not, he is always gonna be CIA. And he was so deep in the CIA, I don't even think that he could be another person. Like I think he's always just gonna be part of that, whether or not he's removed from it or not.
And I think Siobhan brings up a good point because I think the reality is like you're looking even at him asking, so what's your long game? And you can't figure it out because he's brainwashed. Like he's brainwashed himself to think that what he's doing has an end game, and there is none.
Mm. Okay, so just shifting the topic just a little bit. It's a lot of it. We have to talk about Wanda. We have to
Mm,
talk about Wanda. So,
Wanda,
Yeah.
Wanda,
uh-huh.
Wanda.
But let's talk about
Right. I
Wanda.
mean, there's
Those
so many things to say.
braids.
What
What'd
about
you
the
say?
braids?
So for International Women's Day, those braids were speaking for the continent of Africa. I'm just saying.
I
Don't.
I have so many things that I want to say about just the entire wardrobe of it, but I'm gonna keep my comments to myself. But
You know,
so
we
she
also
gets
have to remember
assigned
this is
to
not 2023.
Right.
This is
right.
not
It's right.
current.
Exactly.
So those braids is
Right.
probably fire, whatever year that
Exactly.
is. I
But
can't, you know, she might be ahead of the curve, whatever year that is.
She was very much ahead of the curve.
yeah.
I feel
Okay.
bad for
So
her.
speaking of Wanda, I mean, I love the way that she's like committed to the look. Right. She went to Ghana. Now she's woke. Do you think, like, how woke is she? Do you think that she's going to relapse being in the project? She just expressed her feelings about how hard it is. Where do you think this is going to lead with her being in the projects and being amongst it?
It's tough. I
How woke
mean,
is she?
yeah, Leon, as you see, that was kind of like a mini relapse we saw at the end of the episode. He didn't just beat dude up. He said, "This my shit." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like this wasn't just about the lights and you pissed me off. This was like, this is my shit. He's sitting outside, right on the outskirts of where everything going down. And is it like just about how it's effed up, or is it like, damn, this is what I used to run. This is what I used to, lord over. So it's interesting, especially if something happens to him, how Wanda would react, and would she fall back on old vices, or would she leave off herself? That's a good question.
That's actually a
Yeah.
good point to even consider, like the result of what would happen to Leon on Wanda. That's a good point. Tanae, were you about to say something, or Siobhan?
It was
Um,
me. Well, you can go
yeah.
today.
I just I think the good Christian woman in me has so much hope for Wanda, and so much hope for Leon. I look, I believe in a redemption
Not the
story.
good Christian woman in you.
I just want for them to be better. And I feel like, and I get you, Blaze,
Yeah.
about like the whole this is like that was him saying this is my like this my stuff, but I don't think that it's in the context which we frame it. I think it's him saying like I gave this to you. The only reason why you have what you have is because I handed it over. You didn't
Mm,
win this in a bet, you didn't win this, you didn't fight for this. I handed
you
it
ain't
to you.
felt it.
And I asked for you to do something out of respect and you disrespected me. So now I'm going to whoop your ass. Little old me, I'm going to whoop your ass and I'm gonna let you know that this is mine. I do think it's gonna have an effect on his wife, because I think they're both out there with no protection,
Yeah.
so it's gonna have an effect. One of the two of them are gonna die as a result of this. And I think the
Mm.
conversation with Franklin's mother with Sissy is gonna help Wanda's character, and that like they're making that way for her to still have a path of redemption and being better. So I'm hopeful for Wanda. But yeah, this ain't gonna end well.
Understand? We like hope.
I think they both gonna
Yeah, it
relapse.
might be a
Like I feel
Romeo
like
and
they're both.
Juliet situation. Okay.
I feel like they're both in the midst of their relapse, just like Blaze said. Like you can see. So I didn't like Leon first season because he was so much of a hothead. Like he was too much of a hothead for me, and that fight scene at the end was very reminiscent of season one Leon. And then
Mm.
even the way she's like, it's hard, it's all around us. I feel like that same conversation Wanda had with Sissy is also how Leon is feeling. I really think they need to get on the 11:55 nonstop Delta flight back to Accra that leaves out of JFK every day. It's Delta, it's
LAX, I
nonstop,
guess,
10
right?
hours and 22 minutes. I know it. I've taken it. Like, I need them to get on that and leave for their lives. Like, there's no reason for them to be back. Like, it's not even like, oh, life is better here. There's really they're back to living in the projects. There's not even like, oh, it's a set up, removed house. It's like they reverted back to everything they tried to run away from. So I was like, what is honestly the reason? You came back home to a family war, to the projects, to the things that you literally ran from. Why are you here? What is the benefit, honestly and truly?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
Siobhan, to what you're saying, the where you can see like the difference for Franklin, and for everybody else who's in the game is that they don't live in the game. So
Hmm.
they live in there. You came back and there wasn't a disconnect from you for you to just check in, see how everything was. You were still in the midst of that.
Hmm.
And there is no disconnect. So it is quick and easy for you to revert back to
Yeah.
something that you've been removed from. If they gonna
And
say, you're gonna have to move.
yeah. And one thing that I forgot to mention was the scene where they were outside and Wanda was talking to Leon, and you heard in the background everybody berating Wanda and like
Mm.
talking bad about Wanda, so like in earshot of Leon, and they're just kind of like trying to ignore it. I feel like that's just like symbolism for like everything trying to live in their own bubble when they're constantly being attacked and like berated by everything. Like the environment is going to be detrimental to them.
Ooh, that was such a heavy thing for you to point out, honestly. And with us talking about do we think Wanda would relapse, it sounds like we've already experienced Leon's relapse.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
ended the episode with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Jeez.
he's
just
not.
to stick along real quick, stick along with those themes of how the mom was foreshadowing, like this is somebody, like this game is for the people that can stay calm. Like, did Leon think he was going to come back? And this is like you see the timeline of the episodes. It's only like days at a time that are passing. It's not like they're skipping forward. Like, did he think he was going to come back and all of a sudden everybody was going to be on what took him 3+ months to at least get on for his travels? You talk about long game again. He's in the house with the smart dude, getting him to think about college, filling out college applications. You know what I mean? But he hears something, it triggers him, and he goes back out and he handles stuff like he always would. And now he's gonna have to deal with those consequences, I believe.
Hmm. Yeah, because
Mm.
that's just not blowing over.
It's not.
Right.
But I also think it's also about his choices, right? So you went to the guy, you asked him not to put the lights back up, and he wouldn't do it, and you went above him and did it anyway, right? So like there are these things where you got to respect the world you chose to walk back into and respect how the
Mm-hmm.
movement of that world is and understand that you can't operate in the same functioning as you were before, right? So like even Franklin going
So was
into the
he
cook,
wrong?
was he
So was he
wrong?
wrong? Yeah. Was
Yeah,
he
you
wrong?
were
Was he
wrong.
supposed to just step back into the
I think he was wrong in the sense of like you did something, you gave somebody power, and then you did something that demonstrated you usurping their power. They're going to reassert their power. Um,
right?
and so
Like
and
the
I
Game of
think
Thrones conversation from last week.
yeah,
Hmm. No,
yeah. So
honestly,
Right.
I,
When you choose
I
war,
agree.
I mean,
I was gonna say I don't think he's wrong, but you're right. He literally handed this over, walked away, and like you went back to Ghana, and now you are one with the ancestors, and now like feeling woke and feeling a new sense of community. I'm still a drug dealer. Like I need these lights out because I'm not trying to go to jail. Like
Right.
the lights aren't
mhm.
I don't I feel like Leon is trying to better the community, and that's not what he came back for. And he can't.
Mhm.
One of my favorite lines is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? And I feel like this is a great example of this because you can't be a drug dealer in the community that you are now trying to save. You have to pick one. Is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? Like, you can't turn the light. People are still going to get shot whether the lights is on, but
Mhm.
they're more likely to get arrested if the lights are on. Like, the kids should not be playing in these projects at night
Right.
anyway when people is shooting up the place. So what are the lights going to do? This was just you trying. I don't know if it was. I don't know if I believe that it was him trying to be like, I'm smarter than you. Listen, I'm trying to get my power back, or I'm trying to tell you you're not doing it right. But I just really think that Leon, like, he's really trying to be an advocate and now this community leader, and it's like, nah, you sell crack. Like, please stick to the plan.
And it's very
Copy.
much,
Uchiwali or one mic.
yeah.
Yes, stick to the plan.
And it's very much, once something is poisoned, you cannot, you can't fix that. You gotta cut it off. And he's gotta cut the community off. Like, you can't fix what you poisoned. And
Hmm.
he wants to fix what he poisoned. And it's not gonna happen for you because they see you in a particular way.
Okay, well, speaking of someone's poisoning something and then trying to fix it, Franklin burning dude's face earlier.
That
I
was
mean, we
wild.
saw the instant karma from that. That was very fast. So
That was
I
wild.
wanted to ask, right? I want to ask you, do we think he made a new enemy? But I think we all, it's very clear that he did make an enemy. Um, so what do you think about that situation? Is it done? How do you feel in the moment? Do you know that karma was going to come back that fast? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, it was gonna come back this fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you I I think it is to understand human nature and to understand black male rage. Like, the reality is, you did something that was humiliating to somebody where you again do not have power. He technically did not have power in that cookhouse, and you usurped power so that you could get what was your need done.
Hmm.
And even the conversations that are happening behind the scenes, like with Kane saying, "Oh, he just a hoe," and even that conversation with them, yo, that whole
That was
conversation,
my favorite part. How
that
you
he a
call
hoe in a
Franklin a
And then the
hoe
hoe.
like
next scene you
that?
said whole garden.
Hoes make me
And then the whole
money.
garden was on the next.
Um,
Wow.
but
Cut to
even
whole garden. I was like, damn. Okay.
yeah, even that whole conversation, and then him having a conversation with Franklin. Yet, the next, like, in when they were together, is this demonstration of like, homie, you don't have power in this. Like, you can't sit and come in and do what you was doing before because you don't have power. It was evident it would come back quickly, but I do think that there's something that's real twingy that's going on with Jerome. Cause his face when he said, "Fuck your nephew too," it was like, nah, motherfucker, you don't say that about my nephew. So it was really weird. The whole thing is weird.
So this is why I
But
don't
you, so
agree
you
with
took
you.
it as now. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Siobhan. What you saying?
Oh, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
sis.
This is actually where I don't agree with Tanae because I think Franklin needed to burn his face. Like, I he needed to, because the thing is, even though Franklin didn't give him that power, Franklin the he was given that power somewhere else, but Franklin is still higher up. He has never left. Franklin is there. He's actually now in the game, is the supply, and is wondering why his product is not moving, especially when he needs to make this return. And you in here thinking this is Discovery Zone. You in here playing just music, there's games. Like, this isn't Chuck E. Cheese. You need to be cooking the product. And then, it's not even like, yo, I don't know who this person is. You try to get gangster. You try to play me. This is the other part. Like, now I think he was trying to humiliate Franklin first to be like, I know who you are, Saint. Like, saying his name like that. Like, I know who you are and I don't care. This is my shit. And it's like, yo, you wouldn't even have shit to cook. You wouldn't have work if it wasn't for me. So yeah, so now I
Mm.
need to show you that you can't, this isn't no revolution. You go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. And if you work, you can get promoted. But right now, you playing yourself. So he had to literally burn his face and is like and make an
Mm.
example because next thing you know, everybody else can talk to Franklin like that. You either get with the program or you get out. I knew the karma. I didn't think the karma was gonna go that quick, but I realized when he was saying the stuff about Franklin being a hoe, which again was my favorite part. Tanae mentioned earlier that she had to turn the closed caption on. I'm 38. I can't watch no show without the closed captionings.
No,
But
I had my closed caption on.
no,
I
that's
was
what I said. You
like,
said you had it on to like read it. And I'm like, every show has it on for me, like regardless.
Every
It's
show.
just naturally on the TV. But when he said that part, it was kind of like, oh, so he did this, he was wilding, and now my man's who I've been holding down has no remorse and is actually agreeing with Franklin. I think that if it was just Franklin, maybe, but now it's like I'm being not betrayed, that's a strong word, but I'm being like I'm everybody's against me. So now I'm gonna go where I can get back at everybody because now I'm pissed. My face is burnt. Nobody's holding me down. And now I'm not getting no money. Yeah, I need to make a strategic move. And that was it.
Yeah, that was a
Well, at least
little.
I don't know what
I
fared
hate
out
to
for him.
see he was so easy to flip. That was a little wild to see. But at the same time, his old cheap meat got burnt off. So after that happens to somebody, all bets are off on what the reaction to that will be. So I get what Sayo's saying. Like, yeah, you got to go hard to get your respect. But that was crazy harsh. You know, that was crazy harsh to come up with somebody's crib and put their face on a damn stove.
and it
And it's harsh reactions or harsh actions get harsh reactions.
yeah. And it also
I
speaks to the anger, and also, so I look, I agree with you, and like, us Capricorns, we can see both sides. But also take into consideration that his second in command, Kane's second in command was there. So
Right there.
there's this overstep and usurp of power. Like, you shouldn't have been the one to check him. I get why you did it, but if the second in command is there and y'all and everybody know this is about money, let him handle that. Let him handle your light work.
But did he handle it? But did he handle
that's
it?
the thing. He did not handle it. So now it don't matter who's in command because none of y'all you sitting there watching the fuckery. And I get what we're saying about it being harsh, but I also would like to point out that we are not drug dealers in the crack game back in the day. Like I feel like it's harsh for us because we have 9 to 5s and 401ks and wellness benefits. It's harsh for us because we are not doing that. I live in Yonkers. I have a pool in my complex because of my job. I have a job that jobs give me insurance. We are that is what I feel like we're like, oh my God, this is so harsh. But also, I'm like, if we were crack dealers back then, and this is literally
Oh, I
all
don't
we
feel
do,
like it
that
was
may not be
harsh.
harsh.
I
No,
don't feel
but
like it
Blaze
was
said it was harsh.
I don't feel like it was harsh. I just feel like it wasn't his place.
Yeah,
You
Blaze said
you
it was harsh.
You
And
don't
I'm
feel
like,
like his
yo,
face to
I said
that?
it was harsh.
No.
They made sure they showed us the like the
The
perspective
sizzle.
of just the grill and his
yeah,
face. That
Yeah,
was
this
pretty
the
harsh.
sizzle. I
yeah,
mean, so
when
I
he
think also to take into consideration, there is millions of dollars in the crack game. So no, this ain't harsh. You playing with my money.
yeah, and you know he was mad because the way he screamed, cook that nigga, I was like, all right, y'all. This Franklin is great for a monologue and some speeches, like or a phrase, because I that was embedded into my head. Like the way he screamed it, I was like, oh, he means business.
And he knew when he
Mm.
stepped to him that there was something that was going to happen. You tested him because he showed up in a suit.
Mm.
And
He
so he
tried
had
to
to
take
let
him
you
for
know. Yeah.
try to play him. He had to
Yeah.
remind him who he was. He had to remind them who he was. With that being
Yeah.
said, so did everybody relapse in this episode? Because I mean, Franklin rolled up his sleeves, was down to cook himself, and
I wouldn't call Franklin a relapse because Franklin was never like this at the beginning. Franklin became this. So this isn't a
Mm-hmm.
relapse for Franklin. What I do think is like what Blake said earlier. He has one one foot in the door,
Put in the game.
1 foot in the
Mm-hmm.
game and 1 foot out. Like he really wants to get out, but you can see him kind of still. You can still like slowly actually going back on the other side of the pendulum. Like, all right, I'm back. Let me roll up my sleeves. Let me get up in here. Like being when they were all cooking with the handkerchiefs, and he was like, "Oh, you got burgers for us?" Like you can tell he's like joking and like it almost like he naturally is falling back into like this space, and it's like again, is it Uchiwali? Is it one mic? Do you really want to be out of this game? Is it only about getting the money and going? Because you seem so naturally now into this and you fall back into it. Like, what else do you plan on doing?
But that
Mm-hmm.
It's
is the
But
easy.
last season,
right.
though, even when he was trying to do the real estate last season, she was trying to do stuff legally, and he was like just going off of the plan. He never really showed signs of fully wanting to get out the game. It sounded good, but does he really actually want to?
But it's
All I
also
know, his actions reek of someone moving desperate right now. He doesn't look like he's in control of either side of what he's playing right
100.
now. All his actions right now are of a desperate man, it seems like.
yeah. I will also say too, like to your point, so is that he like so you bringing up like he's moving in these actions of you seeing his humor and all of this. He never really had long game plans, right? Like he's never been able to see the long game. He's understood he needs to hustle to make money. And
Mm-hmm.
so there is this revert back to who you were in a way, if we're sticking with that level of a theme, because he's
Mm-hmm.
going back to I gotta hustle to get this money. He's not thinking about the long game. He's not thinking about how to process and move. Had he thought about the long game, he might not have burnt dude's face, right? Like there's just these things that you see that are reminiscent of the fact that like, oh no, you just don't know any other way, right? And that also is played out like a lot of them don't have somebody else that's guiding them out on what the next step is. That's why Avi's death is so traumatic for Leon because he don't have no guiding light now. His guiding light is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a good point.
Gotcha. Mm. Ooh, okay. So we're almost at the end. What's everyone's predictions for? Well, actually, rewind. Do y'all remember what your predictions were last week, and were they correct, incorrect this week? That's a quick question. If you can remember what your predictions were last week, Justin,
I think my
Blaze, what you were saying?
predictions was pretty spot on. I just said Leon would continue to try to do the Mr. Rogers pull the hood together, but it would just fall
Mm-hmm.
more
Mm.
more apart. And I think it's pretty much following that right now.
Kathy.
I don't think mine has yet because mine was that Leon was going to pick a side, and I feel like he's still going to pick Jerome's side. I don't know if that's still true anymore. I think he's
Mm.
I think he's starting to see how crazy everything is, and I really think they are either one of them is going to die, or like either one of them is going to die, or they're
So
really going
this
to
is
make
your
their.
prediction for moving forward. You still feel like
Well, I think
Leon
one
or
of them is
Jerome?
going to die next episode. I'm not sure. I still think
Mm.
somebody is going to die next episode, and it's going to be one of them. Um, I think more so Leon than Wanda, but I really, you know, I'm lying. I think so. It's still Wanda because Wanda really didn't want to be here in the first place. Wanda did not want to be here in the first place. So I think it's going to be Wanda. I think she's going to snap. She's either going to OD or or somebody is going to like kill her to prove a point to Leon. And so I still think it's Wanda. I think it'll be next episode. Um, but I'm hoping they actually just run away to Africa before it gets too crazy. The Christian woman in me hopes that he runs to Africa. The Christian in me has hope.
I know the Christian in me wants everybody to live. I want everybody for redemption. Tanae, so what are your predictions for next week, Tanae?
Wanda gonna die. Leon gonna take her out. because it's the only way to get back at Leon. So he's gonna take her out. Um, something something is brewing for Gustavo. I don't think that it's gonna work out well for him. I think everybody is promising him 40 acres and a mule. And he's gonna end up on the other side of a border. Um, I think that the money situation gonna get a little tricky. I think that there's gonna be a really interesting um partnership that's gonna continue to brew with Kane and Leon. Death. Um, Death and murder got a weird way of making bonded friends. And so I really think we're gonna see that kind of blossom for them. Um, and I'm believing that Jerome is gonna come to a weird heads about all of this. I don't know if it's gonna happen next episode, but definitely in the long game, it's gonna become a weird head for him about the fact that at the end of the day, he's going to be responsible for his nephew's death if his nephew dies. And so I think that like all of these things are brewing and coming. But I'm praying for
And you think
Gustavo.
that Jerome's gonna have remorse around the death? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
praying for Gustavo. Gustavo and Wanda are the two people I feel the baddest for this season. It ain't looking good for neither one of them, and they
Neither one.
innocent.
I mean, got you, Blaze. So, Blaze, what are your predictions for next week? Because we didn't get your predictions.
Yeah, I think Gustavo's definitely something I'm looking towards because he's now maybe serving three different masters now. You talk about the DEA, the CIA, and now the KGB. That's a lot of
Mm.
tug and pull there. That might be a setup for an unceremonious end to his role on the show. But what were you on episode 5 next week out of I think 10?
Yeah, episode
So
5
I
next
don't
week.
think no one huge could possibly go yet, but I do think Teddy now he has the strings put together, or at least or it's connecting the dots. Excuse me, a little bit more about what's going on in terms of he can't trust Gustavo anymore. So I think they're gonna focus a lot on that, and we'll probably, if not see Gustavo's fate, learn that it's coming pretty soon.
Okay.
You don't think halfway
Vaughn,
through
do you
the
have anything?
season is? I must say, you don't think halfway through the season is enough time for someone major to die? And also, would we consider
So major,
Wanda major?
I'm thinking of Louis. Yeah, I'm thinking of Louis, Jerome, Franklin, Mom, Leon. Those not
See,
none of those yet. None of those yet.
okay, okay. I was gonna say, do you think Wanda's critical? Because I really think, like, I don't know. But anyway,
Critical to Leon. She's critical to Leon's mental
state
mental.
his character and his character is like progression. But how many? It's 10
So it'll
episodes.
be
We mid.
perfect timing for her to die. Then it'll be
Yeah,
perfect timing for her to die, right?
Yep.
Okay.
plot twist.
Any other final thoughts about the episode today? Was there anything that like really you want to get off your chest?
I just, I pray for the black babies in the hood because that anger. And I'm really feeling for old boy that should be going off to college. Like,
Yeah. Let that baby go
Mm,
to
I want him
school,
to make it out. Everybody could die. I just need him to make it out. Like,
I
I was
please.
understand.
about to say that could be one because he's the one he gonna help Leon, carry him off. That's supposed to be homeboy second in command. He just got the raise, or he just got the bonus check, you know what I mean? And he gonna help this dude that just kicked my ass. So he could be the one too.
Let that
That's
baby go to school.
Right. We've seen
that's
enough
like
of that, honestly. Like my heart can't handle any more of like those sort of deaths.
Yeah, let that baby go to
right.
school.
I'm good. Like
yeah.
Ricky,
we
I
saw
mean,
that
hey,
we saw that movie a long time ago. Right?
we got a little Friday, the little D, Craig beating up Debo in the hood. Next week could be a little Ricky, boys in the hood trying to
No.
run out to get out
No,
the hood and
no,
No,
no.
no. We're traumatizing
We're not putting
kids.
that
We're
in the
good. We don't need
air,
to relive this
please.
again.
Let that baby go to
it's
Traumatizing
already
school.
life.
written. It's already written.
But it would be very John Singleton-esque if they
I was
waited.
just about to say. I was like, John Singleton ain't here, but he all up in that. You are today. You
Right.
see how you be thinking? I
See,
was thinking it, but I was like, let me not
that's
talk bad about the.
that's why I'm like, okay, how close are they gonna do it? Or are they gonna try to like give us something different? Like how are we gonna do this? I guess we're about to find out though. Woo, seeing Franklin get shot at today. I mean, y'all think everybody's gonna die? What y'all think?
I don't think everybody's gonna die, but
No,
Nah, yeah, I
somebody's
I
going.
think Franklin ends up in jail. Franklin, I think, ends up in jail at the end because if the
Yeah.
real freeway Ricky Ross, he ended up doing mad time, so
mm,
he can do his time and come out 40 years later and 20 years later, whatever.
yeah,
And that's the best scenario for him.
I think that if he doesn't go to
Okay.
jail, he's gonna lose everything, and it's gonna feel like everything he worked for this money for his family. He hustles for his family, his friends to like put everybody on, and then like he's not gonna be if they don't die, but he's just gonna be estranged from all of his friends and family, and it's just gonna be him in this state. And it was like, what was it all for?
Mm,
That's how
gotcha.
you end it.
Okay. That's how you end. And speaking of endings, we are at an end. Thank you so much for all of you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Blaze. Thank you, Tanae. And thank you for tuning in to our Snowfall Instant Reaction live stream.